If you are a handyman making good money, but feeling stuck, spending way too much time on running the business, sending estimates, invoices, the operational side, and also doing the actual handyman work, then this video is going to be the best part of your week. Okay? Well, hopefully you got something better going on than watching my stupid face. But I am going to break down exactly why handyman gets stuck in this loop where they feel like they can't break out of the grind of nights and weekends trying to do all the administrative stuff and run the business. And the whole reason that they started the business in the beginning, which is typically to get some financial stability and schedule flexibility, they feel like is not even possible anymore. Okay. I was in the exact same spot. I started the handyman business 4 or 5 years ago with my father-in-law, and there were quite a few times where we said, is it time to shut this thing down? We scoured the internet trying to find someone who could explain to us how to scale, or if it was even possible to scale a handyman business. We knew that there were guys explaining how to do it in the other trades, the licensed trades, but we could not figure out if there was a way to scale a handyman business to the point where it was like a real business, not just working ourselves into a job, where we could go take a couple weeks off for vacation, still make money, have an asset that we could sell if we wanted to sell it. And we couldn't find anything. We found guys that would say, hey, here's how you do this. Here's, your 10 steps to growing your handyman business to 100 grand a year. And we found all these things, but when we dug into them, we couldn't figure out actual solutions that worked. And even, to be honest, a lot of them didn't make sense. So I'm stoked to make this video because 4 or 5 years ago, we were in a tough spot. In the last, it's been 3 years now, we have broken out of that loop that we were stuck in and done it in a very systematic way. And so now we do about 150 grand a month out of our location in College Station, Texas, and we help handyman businesses break out of the loop. There are 2 very clear ways to do this. So hopefully this is good news. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're doing, normally this is in the range of like 10 to 20 grand a month. I've even seen guys that are in this loop as low as 5 grand a month and guys as high as 30 grand a month. There is hope. You can get out of the loop. You can have a real business where if you want to go take some days off, you still make money and you're not spending nights and weekends doing all the admin work. Okay. First, what is the loop, right? We need to be really clear on what this is. And then we're going to go into why people get stuck in it and why it's hard to get out and what it looks like when you're on the other side of that. Okay. And then at the end of this video, I'll go over the 2 ways that we found, that you can get out of it, escape the loop. It's one of those things where in retrospect, we look at it and we go, why did we not figure this thing out? But there just wasn't resources. And I should say this too, there's other like handyman instructional YouTube guys and content creators and stuff. A lot of them have really helpful things. There just wasn't a comprehensive explanation of what is it that we're going through, why are we stuck in this stuff, and how do we get out of it. This deck goes over how to build a 3-man handyman crew, okay? The reason why is because you need a 3 handyman crew to break out of the loop. And I'll go in those numbers, what that looks like and all that stuff. But first, what is the loop? The loop typically happens between 10 and 20 grand a month. You're working 6 days a week. A lot of times the solution, this is the solution everybody gives, is they say you got to hire, right? The only way you grow is if you hire. And so you hire somebody, 90 days later, you go, wow, I'm out a bunch of payroll and I have less billable hours myself. And my guy's gone and I'm back to exactly where I was with less money. The problem is not that there isn't enough talent of guys to hire. The problem is not that you're bad at hiring. You might not be great at hiring, which I'll go over that too. The main problem is that you hired into the loop. And when you hire into the loop, it just makes all of the problems worse. So the bright side of this is that when you break out of the loop, the hiring becomes so much easier. It becomes at least doable. Okay, so the loop. The loop is this, and as we're going through this, you really got to think, hey, does this describe me, right? Because there are lots of justifications and reasons that we gave ourselves where we said, we're not stuck in a loop, right? It's just seasonality. Handyman's a seasonal business. Or it's just in our area, right? The market's a little bit weird, or the economy kind of fluctuates. It goes up and down, right? Those are all things that we told ourselves that were essentially just excuses of why we weren't in the loop when 100% we were stuck in the loop. And here's how the loop works. When you start out, you got a goal, right? You got a dream. And that is, I think I can do handyman work and make a career out of this and have some financial stability and schedule flexibility. When you're starting out, your pipeline's dry, right? You don't have much going on. You're posting on Facebook, you're letting your friends know, and you start to get some work. Okay. So when you're starting to get work, what's happening is you're in sales mode, right? That's what this is right here. You're in sales mode. And in sales mode, you answer your phone quickly, you get estimates out quickly, you send invoices quickly, you can have great communication with clients, right? You can over communicate with clients in a way that a lot of people appreciate. And inherently, work floods in, right? We're in such an insane market where most guys don't realize that there is this insane shift where you have people that have quite a bit of money that don't want to do anything to their homes. They don't know how to do anything to their homes as far as repairs or fixing things, or even, I mean, this is a crazy stat. We pulled our numbers for how much revenue we did for furniture assembly, right? This is like somebody that calls us and go, hey, I ordered a bunch of furniture on Amazon and I need somebody to put it together. And these are real calls that we get, okay? And we say, great, that's $125 an hour. And they say, awesome, can you come over tomorrow? We'll spend 4 hours putting furniture together that somebody ordered on Amazon, okay? The market right now is so amazing to build that financial stability and schedule flexibility that you are going to get work. If you have a basic skill set, you can do this kind of stuff and you're good with customers, you have good communication, you're going to get work, okay? So work floods in. Then you get buried. You get buried on the tools. You're out in the field doing the actual work. What happens when you're assembling 4 hours straight Amazon furniture? You don't answer the phone, right? If you do answer the phone in the middle of it and go, yeah, sounds good. All right, I'll get you an estimate as soon as I can. Well, you still have the rest of the day to finish the actual work that you already booked. So the sales mode stops, right? And what happens is your operations fall apart. You might not even think of it as operations, but your operations fundamentally are falling apart. You're not answering the phone like you used to. You're not getting estimates out as quick as you used to. You're not scheduling appointments as quickly as you used to. Your communication breaks down a little bit. You don't get invoices out quickly, and leads go cold, right? Operations fall apart, leads go cold, your backlog runs out, you have jobs scheduled, those run out, and your pipeline gets dry again. And you've completed one full cycle of that loop. And then you go, man, I got plenty of time. All right, I'm gonna do some Facebook posts. I'm going to talk about it again. And you start getting a bunch of jobs, right? And then it starts all over again and again and again and again. And what the mistake that most handymen make, the mistake that we made, is we said, we're stuck in this loop. We got to get out of this thing. We need to hire guys. Okay. That was the stupidest decision ever. It didn't feel like it when we were in it, but we said we need to hire guys because that's how you scale a business. You got to hire guys, right? We don't want to do the work. We need to hire some guys so that we can have some time in the office, do our admin stuff, and just have some flexibility and some ability to go away if we want to go on vacation with our families. So we made the same exact mistake. And I talk to handymen all the time. Like I mentioned, we help handymans scale out of this loop, but talk to handymen all the time. And they go, there's no good guys in my area. There's nobody good to hire, right? Or I hire guys and then they don't show up on time, or I hire guys and after 60 days they quit and then I'm out all this, right? These are all excuses. That's really what it is. These are all excuses. And they happen when you try to hire into this loop. Because when you hire into the loop, all it does is it makes it worse. It makes the problem that is causing you to be in the loop worse. It also gets expensive, right? So here's a really quick example on why this gets really expensive. When you hire somebody, you inherently have some extra work, right? Hopefully you're not hiring a junior guy on your first hire. Although some guys do that too, because they think, well, I can pay a junior guy $18 an hour and I got to pay a more experienced guy 25. We'll go into that later as well, but you don't want to do that. Okay, so they hire a guy. Inherently, you're putting some time into your new hire. That means you have less billable hours. Okay, so already your revenue starts to decline a little bit. Then you got to train the guy at least a little bit, right? On your policies, procedures, if you have those. Some guys don't, they just kind of throw a guy into the field. But now that means if you have the work, if you have referrals or word of mouth or whatever coming in, or leads or ads, buying stuff on Thumbtack, whatever, if you have that stuff coming in, now you have twice the amount of admin work. You got admin work for your new guy and for you. That was what was frustrating in the first place. That's what keeps you stuck in the loop. So you just make it worse, right? All of that whole sales process, that whole sales cycle just breaks down even worse and faster and in a way that is more expensive than when you were doing it on your own. That ends up getting to day 60, 90. Guy quits, right? Because for whatever reason, or you have to let him go because you don't have enough work, whatever it is, and you're back to square one. Except you have less revenue, you lost money, and you lost a bunch of time, and it feels super frustrating. This cycle for us kind of felt like, shoot, are we even good at what we do? Can I even make this work? Is this even stable? And then we build up the work again and we go, oh man, we're crushing it. We have tons of work. We're booked out 2 weeks. And then that loop would happen again and again and again. It's brutal. Okay. So again, this video is going to break down how to get out of it. That's what the loop is. I want to explain how you get out of it. Okay. It doesn't break. The loop doesn't break when you add somebody. The loop breaks when you add operations. Okay. That's what breaks the loop because fundamentally that is the problem. All right. There's 3 pieces to this. 3 pieces. Please pay attention to this, guys. Some of this feels like, here's the problem with some of the stuff I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over pricing right now. I was consuming as many of these YouTube videos and TikTok and Facebook of guys who had scaled their businesses as handymen or who said they were doing, $100 grand, $200 grand a year, whatever it was. So I could try to learn. And I would see videos of guys going, man, if you charge $65 an hour, you're stupid. You need to be charging at least $100 an hour. And I'd be like, okay, like I want to charge 100, but how do I do that? Right. And there was very little that explained it. So I hope it diagnoses and explains the problem clearly, but I also hope that I can clearly explain how to get out of it. Okay. So I want you to understand the foundation of these problems. So the first one we're going to go over is pricing. There are 2 big pieces to this. Okay. One, is it even feasible to hire somebody with what you're charging? Okay. That's just like a fundamental layer. All right. Probably if you are under $95 an hour, probably not feasible. Okay. Because it sounds like if you're paying somebody $25 or $30 an hour and you're charging 85, you're like, wow, I'm going to crush it. Right. It doesn't work that way. You have workers' comp insurance. You have overhead like the wear and tear on your vehicle, maybe a truck payment. There are tools that wear out that need to be replaced. There's just capital investment when you're buying new tools. There's taxes, right? There's so much in overhead. There's the software costs. There's phone system costs. Hopefully you're not running your business on your cell phone. There's all these different costs, right, that come into play. And that eats away at your margin, especially when you only have a couple guys. And so there's a calculator. I'll link it in the description here, but there's a calculator on our website where you can put in how much you charge, how many guys you want, what your overhead is. And it'll tell you if you're going to make money or lose money. The other side of the pricing discussion is, like I mentioned, I've seen videos where guys say, just charge more, right? That's great. Except that some businesses cannot charge more. Okay. In their current state, they cannot charge more. So they need to change. I believe everybody that has a basic communication skill set and basic home repair skill set can charge a lot. But you have to have your business set up in a way where the customers that are willing to pay the $125 an hour, which is what we charge now, choose you, right? And so here's what you need to hear is the customer that wants to pay $55 or $65 or $75 an hour is a customer that price shops. They are a customer that is going to, this is just broadly speaking, right? That are going to have really high expectations. They're going to be harder to work with, okay? Because they're shopping on price. The customer you want to work with is not price shopping. They're convenience shopping, okay? So convenience shopping doesn't care about the price. But you have to win the convenience game, not the price game. You don't want to ever compete on price. You want to win the convenience game. And so that means fundamentally, you cannot run your business on your cell phone, right? You can't do it on your cell phone. If you're trying to manage everything on your personal cell phone where all of your family's texting you and you got all your personal life, that is not going to be a convenient experience for the customer. Okay, so I'll run through this really quick because I don't want this video to get too long, but a convenient experience, the experience that we have set up, that we help our clients set up, is one where a customer can find you online. And let's say they go to your website and they've got a couple different options for how they want to reach out. Maybe they want to call. Maybe they want to go on a chat widget. Maybe they want to fill out an estimate request form, right? Maybe they're at work, they don't want to call you. Okay, they've got a couple different ways. Let's just go down the estimate request form. Somebody fills out an estimate request form. They get a text back in a few seconds that says, we got your request for an estimate. We're looking over it now. Somebody will get back to you shortly. That's convenient. That feels like a good experience. There's an expectation that's been set there. Okay, they got it right away. This feels professional. I got an automated text back instantly that confirms that they actually got the form. We've all had that experience where we submit a form and we don't get anything and we're like, did they get it? So that's a bad experience, right? Good experience. The automated text gets sent back. We then look at the info on that form, and a lot of times we copy it and paste it into our estimating tool. It's an AI estimating tool that has learned how we bid projects. It knows the skill sets of our employees. It knows our own skill sets. It knows the availability of our employees, and it will very, very quickly churn out a very accurate estimate. We send that back to the customer with a link. So they can get a text message that's a link. They open it up and it looks like a professional estimate. It's got our logo on it. It has the information on it, the terms and conditions, right? And then there's a nice green button that says, would you like to accept the estimate? Okay. That's very convenient. Somebody who doesn't care about price shopping and they say, hey, I got a drywall patch, I need to get this thing done before the party this weekend. And they get an estimate with a little button. And then let's just say they've called somebody else and somebody goes, hey, I'll send you an estimate back. Let me get back to you shortly. And they send them just a text message with a whole bunch of text in it saying, hey, it could be this, could be that. I think it's going to be this cost. One of those feels convenient. One of those feels like they don't really have it together. Okay. When we go to schedule the work, they get a text message that says, hey, your appointment's been scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. One of our techs will be out there just as a convenience reminder, right? That makes it so easy. Same with invoicing. Invoicing is a link. It's tap to pay, right? We have multiple options for how they can pay. That is an experience that somebody who's willing to pay $125 an hour for appreciates. That's what they want. So we are the most convenient option if you want to work with a handyman in College Station. That's us. And so we charge $125 for that, okay? That is why some handyman businesses aren't set up in a way where they can charge that. And so it gets really frustrating to people. And I see comments, I've seen dozens and dozens of comments of people saying, I raised my prices and my business went away. That's because they saw a video of somebody that said, you just have to raise your prices to make sense. And they didn't have these other pieces in place. Okay, so that is a big one. You have to have the operations in place, okay, which leads into our next one. Remember I said there's 3 things that you got to do in order to break out of this loop. The next one is you have to have operations, okay? You need to have systems in place. And that means systems so that every call gets answered, every lead gets responded to, no matter how they reach out to you. The estimates go out quickly and they look professional and official. The estimates get followed up with automatically. We have automations that automatically follow up with estimates, and they work amazingly. We have invoices, same deal. It looks professional. They come quickly. Somebody can tap and have multiple payment options. The whole process is very smooth when you work with us. That is what you have to have in place. When you're hiring somebody, you need to have this stuff written down, right? You need to have hopefully just one page that says, here's how we operate, okay? This can include things like we always bring materials and supplies to clean up or to, a tarp to spread out if we're doing drywall repair. A lot of companies don't do that, but the companies that want to pay for the convenience do. So there needs to be policies, procedures. Really what this is just operations. You just have to have operations in place. In order to have operations, you need to have some software, right? That is a prerequisite. You cannot do it on your phone. You need to have an appointment booking piece of software, right? We have the one that we use that we give to our clients is an all-in-one system. You get everything in one login, but you have to have some solutions like that, right? If you don't have the operations in place, it is not time to hire somebody. Okay, that is a prerequisite to hiring. The third one, you need to have marketing, and word of mouth is not a marketing system that scales well. Referrals, okay, they're the best clients that you are ever going to get. Doesn't scale well. If you say, I'm going to hire somebody next week, I need to double my lead volume next week. Word of mouth does not do that. You need to have a profitable, ideally a couple profitable lead channels in place where you can just turn that dial and say, I want to double my leads next week. Right now, if I want to double my leads next week, I can do that. I think we're averaging 12 to 20 new leads a day right now, because we have 13 full-time techs and we do a lot of revenue. But if I said I want to double that, I could do that next week. Okay, because when you hire somebody, you need to be able to fill their calendar, fill their schedule, 32 hours a week minimum. Okay, now some guys say, hey, I can't guarantee the 32 hours a week. That's okay. You can do a job listing and tell your applicants, hey, I can't guarantee you hours. You're just going to get worse quality applicants. Sometimes you can make that work. Sometimes you can explain your way through that and, build some rapport and somebody really believes you. But you know what's easier is just saying, hey, how about I guarantee you 32 hours a week? That's not a common thing that handymen do. To be able to do that, you need a couple profitable marketing channels. The funny part is, marketing is my background. The marketing side for this kind of stuff is really easy. I've talked to guys that say, hey, I struggle with marketing. I can't get leads. That has been the easiest part for us and for our clients when we put that in place. It's really the operations. If you don't have those right, that can be really tricky. It's very hard to do the operations on your own, but it can be done. And then the hiring part is tricky. The marketing is normally the easy part, but the marketing won't work if you don't have good operations. Same thing, like if you had Apple design you a handyman ad, right? The greatest handyman ad that has ever been created in the history of mankind, and you ran it and you never answered your phone, you're still going to lose money on that ad, right? The ads don't really matter that much. You have to have the operations in place, okay? So at the end of this video, I will explain the 2 ways that you can get to those 3 things. And it sounds more complicated as I'm laying this stuff out. All it is a bunch of steps. It's a bunch of small steps that you have to put in place. None of them are confusing or complex. They're just a bunch of them. Okay, so let's go to what this looks like when you're on the other side. I'll go through this really quick, okay? Your first hire, you want to be somebody who can do the basic work. You want this to be somebody where when you turn the leads up, you can go send them out on their own and they're okay. They're still going to require some training because they need to plug into your system, your operations, right? That requires a little bit of training. But they need to be able to make margin on their time within the first week. What ends up happening oftentimes is you turn up the marketing, you're trying to balance, right? You only have 2 guys. It's yourself and this guy, right? You're trying to balance those schedules. And so what ends up happening is turns into the overflow guy. You fill up 32 hours. If you don't have, you're 3 hours, 4 hours short, 6 hours short, you take that from your own schedule and you give it to him to guarantee his 32 hours. Okay. That is typically how this works on your first guy. Your second guy is a much easier hire. The second guy is now you've already got a schedule with 2 guys. You can turn the leads up more and you can spread those across 3 different schedules. That makes it much easier to scale. And the second guy is where if you have 2 guys in the field, this is how the math works out, okay? I have a calculator on the website to go over this as well. But if you have 2 guys in the field that are doing 32 hours a week each, and your effective bill rate is $95 an hour, okay? I say effective bill rate because if you're charging 100 or 110 or 115, depending on your warranty work and your bill to paid ratio, which was the other at scale hardest thing for us to solve, which I'll go over in a different video, your actual bill rate and your effective bill rate will be less, right? So 2 guys in the field, 32 hours a week, $95 an hour, and you doing 20 hours a week billable. Okay. That gets you about $12,000, a little over $12,000 a month net to you working 20 hours a week in the field. That is where we see guys go from it feeling chaotic and challenging and difficult to, oh my gosh, I think I have a real business. I can go take some time off, right? The only wrench that gets thrown in this, and I'll go over this in the next 2 slides here, is it is extremely beneficial to have some admin support. Okay, the traditional way of doing this is to hire a receptionist. Hiring a receptionist is kind of expensive. We did this twice. and made mistakes. We believed that we needed to hire an office staff person, a full-time receptionist, to help us with the admin tasks, right? Well, we ended up hiring somebody full-time, paid them $5,000 a month, which ends up being about $6,000 a month cost to the company because you have payroll taxes and stuff, and insurances. And it really didn't scale the way that we thought it would. At the time, again, we were in the churn of this thing. It was very hard to see what was going on when you're in it. We hired a second person. This is when we were about the between 40 and 60 grand a month mark. We hired a second person, second office staff, full time, another $5,000 a month, another $6,000 a month cost, right? $12,000 a month cost total. And we kept them on for about a year and realized it's just not working, right? It's a really high cost to the company. And we went back and rebuilt a portion of our systems again. Those were the systems, by the way, that we rebuilt and got us to the 150 grand a month with not even hiring a full-time office. We still don't have a full-time office person on payroll. And those are the systems that I'll show you and that we offer to our clients. But hiring on a system, right? This is a whole process. I'm not even going to spend time on this. This is just how you hire people. There is a wrong way to do it that will waste your time, and there's a right way to do it. I go over that in a different video as well. But here is the thing that you've been waiting for. Here are the two paths that you can take to get out of this loop, to break out of the loop, okay? Like I said, none of these things are complicated. There's just a bunch of steps. That's really all that it is. And so there is the path one. This is how we figured this out. We built it ourselves. We actually built custom software for our own business that we've been using for about 3 years. We built the systems. We built pricing guides. We built internal things for us so that we could grow out of this leap. And we broke out of it, and it worked really well. Our website has a lot of really helpful things to help you put this stuff in place that you need and break out of the system, okay? The second option is you can plug in us, right? We are a partner for handyman businesses. We have some significant guarantees about scaling your business, breaking you out of the loop. We put all this stuff in place for you, plus we have figured out a much better way to solve the receptionist problem. For all of our clients, they get a dedicated administrative assistant that's in their account every single day for a fraction of the cost of a receptionist, and helping them move all those things along the pipelines, helping new leads go to estimates, to booked jobs, to invoices sent, to money collected. Those are the pieces that you need. We are the only company that I am aware of that offers those three things under one package with a dedicated admin assistant that's actually a human working in your account. It's not some weird AI BS thing that's, generating reports for you. This is a human that works in your account every single business day, gives you a daily report so you know what's going on in your business, and helps you keep things going so that you can get that financial stability and schedule flexibility, okay? I'm going to give one story that stands out to me that I was talking with our client success manager today, and we had a client that was out of Washington State who, when he started on, he said, hey, my goal is to consistently hit $5,000 months, $5,000 months. And he, in talking to him, he said that he hadn't been on a vacation a long time. He's got a few young kids and a wife. And he said, if I could get, $5,000 a month consistently, almost all of it's profit, like I can make ends meet, I can pay bills. Fast forward it's been less than a year. And he's currently on vacation. We couldn't get a hold of him today to try to resolve something because he's on vacation right now. And he's consistently hitting $30,000+ months. Okay. So for him, he just wanted the systems in place. He still loves doing the work. So he went from hoping that he could get $5,000 months to doing $30,000+ months consistently with the ability to take vacations and do fun stuff with his kids and family. So I'm going to cut the video off there. I really hope this was helpful. If you are a handyman that is struggling to get past this loop and I didn't answer a question, please drop it in the comments. You can schedule a call with us on our website. If you are a handyman, because I know there's going to be guys that have broken past the loop, and they've probably done it in different ways, right? There's lots of guys that are doing $100,000+ a month in the handyman space. Drop it in the comments. The main lessons that you learned, advice that you have. We're always trying to learn. We're always improving. And I feel like if we can share more information as handyman businesses that have broken out of this loop. That just helps everybody. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you want to schedule a call with us or get some resources on the website, go check that out. And hopefully it was helpful.